Okay, hi, I'm Sachin,
I'm Sanjana.
and we are co-founders of a studio that we found, I think, about 4 years ago now, called SS Design Studio. It's in Baroda, and we are predominantly in practicing in domain of architecture and interior design. Although it started with just products, which were mostly lifestyle, but one thing led to the other, and today we are practicing predominantly interiors and architecture, which in essence obviously covers I think what we'll try to touch upon in our subsequent interview. Art, which is in terms of installation, art, which is in terms of surfaces. Art is there around you, come to think of it. I don't know how to define that. That's the funny part of it, how to define art. But then again, you're always surrounded by things which are done very artistically. Be it your interiors. I'm not saying something which we have designed predominantly, but something uh, which is there as something in terms of as basic as an artisan making a pot. It's an art. I'm not glorifying every small thing, but I'm just saying that does encompass our every day to days, and that's how at least I see things. Even the smallest of things which we should not take for granted for day to day, done very artistically, done very finely, something very skillful, and something which you do not possess as a skill. uh, then comes the other layers of art. Obviously, I think Sanjana might, she wants to say something.
I think art, according to me, is again, I agree with Sachin, it's all around us. But I feel art is very personal. So, what a person finds art in can be very subjective.
Art tends to fill up the volume that we always envisage, in the start of a project.
The voids.
Yeah, without that, there is, because end of it, we try to emulate a project or try to see a project with, like, life in it that needs to react to something in terms of art, which is going to give it some meaning or purpose. Be it a sculpture, be it an installation on the wall, be it a kinetic structure also, or be it just a simple painting or a photograph that sometimes client has clicked and we saw value in it, which can be turned into an art.
I also feel it sort of adds another dimension, a story, a kind of a narrative where which gives a sort of depth to whatever has been designed, whether interiors, exteriors, it doesn't matter, but it sort of gives you that every art has a story, and I feel that story comes through when it becomes a part of your interior art. When you want to put it in a project, especially for us, it always comes during the inception of the project. So when we are trying to design, when we are trying to visualize that the whole space, how it is going to look, how it is going to come up, what is the final product is going to be, that is when art comes into picture. Of course, it is sometimes possible, and it has happened, that the kind of art that you're envisioning to be in a place changes. But I think that art has to be integrated from that first moment of design visualization. Sometimes does become art does become an intrinsic part of the interior structure, the interior envelope that we create. Or art, on the other hand, also does become something that we put in later.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say that, because I'll tell you the first project ever that we did. We got a project called Indian Institute of Welding. Now that project was done, and which is how, fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately, because now people are approaching architects and designers for even smaller projects. That's how we landed up with our first one. So it was again a very budget bound project, but we were asked to do artwork for, because it's an Indian Institute of Welding Baroda chapter, and there are several chapters in each district, etc., all around India. I think that's how I started. One can make and glorify anything and make an art out of it. Like, I can talk about pottery, and because it is, come to think of it, it's a craft. But if it done artistically, if given some more value to, the same thing that we see everything as a pot, every day as a pot, if given an artistic value to it, I'm not saying given artistic value being if an artist has made it, if someone who has,
What you mean is in terms of form.
Yeah. So
form or material.
Yeah. So I mean, in essence, it does add value to your overall day-to-days.
Yeah.
To deal with. It does come to us as soon as we are sketching something, on a plan while we are conceptualizing something. I don't want to romanticize it, but we try to think that this is going to happen, but unfortunately, and here I'm distinctly saying unfortunately, architecture, unlike art, is dependent on, on the person who is going to pay for it, on the user. Because again, I believe in this, what something my father taught me, that difference between art and architecture is that art is swantah sukhai and architecture is parantar sukhai. Art is something that you do it for your own, happiness. You made a painting, you made a sculpture because you found, you had something in your mind, you had something in the thought process that you wanted to express it with, be it whatever the material was. Unfortunately, architecture cannot happen in isolation. It's like stand-up comedy. You cannot be in a single room in your own bedroom and crack jokes and laugh. That's mental, right? You cannot do that. Similarly, architecture and interiors you cannot do in isolation. So we try to, we still struggle to. I should not shy from saying that we still struggle, because we do. But like I said, at times clients do it, somehow they absorb it. And after a year or so, they do call us. It has not happened every time, but it has happened at least 2 out of 5 times. So that's a good thing we see. It starts with convention. I think everything starts with even a painting starts with a convention in terms of a material or maybe a thought, and then it develops, just like that architecture is or interior is. So we do aspire to one day do that. And or other way around, if we see not just an artist residence, but we also hope to have a project one day which is art-centric, something which started with art.
We also have one more project which is on a commercial front. It's a kind of a riverfront development where on a smaller basis guests are catered to, and in their restaurant they wanted something. They wanted a wall art that would show the essence of what their entire
context
river
is.
context is.
Yeah.
So they wanted things like water, visuals of water, or
Boat, river,
boats,
yeah.
river, fish. I
Yeah.
mean, something that is related to that particular context. So
sounds vague, I know, at the first, because we are still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
We are still trying to we are still finding in the process of finding an artist who can execute that.
Yeah.
I feel there is no point in typecasting, or there is no point in pigeonholing, or there is no point in actually specifically saying that corporates will not have certain thing, or only residences will have something, or only institution will have a specific type of wall or a domain or the area or scale. I think lines are blurred pretty much, and they have been.
When it comes to designing of art and designing of personal spaces, I think the interior design only changes when it comes to personal spaces, or when it comes to the whole uh, residential arena, because like we see it during designing of every single residential project that I have come through. Everyone has their own ideas for what they want in their room or personal space, you can say. And there are a lot of debates and things like that. And then when they come up with their needs as to what all they want, consequently the art also changes along with that. So when it comes to personal space, it is a completely different ball game, because there are again then you have to also make sure you take into consideration what that person, what feelings are invoked in that person when you are talking about a certain kind of interior design that you're proposing, and in effect also the kind of art that you're proposing, because that person is going to wake up every single day and use that space and look at that art. So I think it again changes from one project to another, and within that project also I think it changes from one space to another as to what sort of art you want to integrate in that interior design. My relationship to art is very different. So what happens is art for me is brings in the sort of travels that I have. So I have this habit of going to places and then buying the local art.
We have collected, I can say, is mostly during the travel. That's where you are at ease. That's where you are making memories. That's where you learn about the place and the people and the history. And that's where you connect with the underlying part of any civilization, which is the craft of it. And then I think through that crafts, at times artists, architects have taken things further, extrapolated it. So during travel is, I think, the best time where we explore art. Again, depends on the client, etc., and the project, how we want to do it. At times, we always try to see whether, hopefully, that the painting or the art that we see is actually in its truest form and it's not a reprint, But then again, like I said, it all depends on the project. I think it's a wonderful thing. See, I think there are a lot of things which are running in my head. One is social media, one is actually accessing art, and all those artists who couldn't be accessed earlier very easily. Someone sitting in, let's say, Surendranagar, I'm just giving an example. Someone sitting in a very remote area in Maharashtra or Madhya Pradesh, if they can, actually put their art through, forums like yours, it does make more sense to, get it authentically from Abir space or Abir Pothi. I'm saying it makes more sense to do online, in terms of not just online per se. Considering current time, I think we are bound a little bit with online. I think in terms of awareness, I'm very close to what she's thinking, that most of the times art is taken as something which is very premium, something a middle class man cannot, or a woman cannot think of affording, in their house or to gift someone. That has to change, I think, predominantly, because it as soon as you talk about something artistic or something which is artist made, or designer made, be it clothing also. I'm not even saying just in terms of a painting or just in terms of a sculpture or just in terms of a kinetic or wall art, but even something as simple as designer fabrics and whatnot. Things are taken on a very different tangent and seen on under a very different light. And then obviously then comes the part of authenticity and whatnot, since people who want to pay, authentically to the artist who has actually made it. Then comes the part of authenticity, etc. So sources like Abir and I think that's where I think that's a game changer, because people like and organizations like Abir Pothi and Abir Space, you guys do put artists on a pedestal, and that helps them get discovered more. And that's where the part of, again, society, what you're talking about, whether it's needed, whether society needs to be more aware. They do need to, and I think forums and platforms like yours do help to put them and get discovered. I feel art inspires you, and it should have. It does play. I think most of the times very subconsciously. People just don't know, they are not aware, and that's what they need to be made aware, rather than it being a add on thing ke end mein soch lenge.
Correct.
It should be something which should be thought that I want this, like they want a kitchen, then why don't they want an art wall?
Yeah.
Right? They should think of it like it's there. It's a datum.
Yeah. You come across a lot of, a lot of thought processes, a lot of artists. So yeah, I think that is where an online portal works, according to me.
Thank you, firstly, Abir, Pothi, and Abir Space, firstly, to approach this. For this topic, it's good. So, thanks for doing this with us. This does give us a good opportunity to talk about it on a forum, which is going to be explored by artists and architects alike. And thank you, in and all. And we have just started to explore your space. So, hopefully, we might collaborate soon, is what I can hope for.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting us.